This information you are about to hear and perhaps view, these are not necessarily the thoughts or the ideas of Gary C.Clement or the Gary Clement Radio Show podcast. We are in no way, shape, or form affiliated with the parties this story is about or was interviewed for. Parts of this content may not be owned by or the property of the Gary Clement Radio Show podcast, G2 Network Media, or any other company we are affiliated with, and this information is strictly the opinion of those being interviewed. This content is for information purposes only, and although we may make reference to various news stories, we share our own independent beliefs about the content and provide our own opinions. Please enjoy the information. Welcome to the Gary Clement Radio Show and podcast. Many years ago, I attended Full Sail Center for the Recording Arts in Winter Park, Florida, which is now actually located in Orlando, Florida, and it's called Full Sail University. One of the people I met while there was Miss Carolyn Harding, a dance music recording artist on Profile Records at the time. She grew up in New York, but now she calls Orlando home full time. She's here today to talk with us about her life, her career, and what's happening today. And we welcome my good friend, Miss Carolyn Harding.
I'm fine. How are you?
Okay, great. So first of all, tell us what it's been like to travel constantly back and forth between New York and Florida. How has that been for you?
It's been quite an easy transition because, as you know, I have a history in Orlando, so I'm familiar with it. And coming from New York, I was very happy to leave the snow and ice.
Mm-hmm. I get you.
So I'd rather be warm and have to go sit in the air conditioning.
I hear you. I got you. Okay. So for people that don't know anything about you, just tell us a little bit about your recording career, and everything that leads up until now.
Well, okay. There's two things that are very important, especially because of Florida. Back in 1981, I auditioned for a spot at Disney World while I was living in New York, and so that was my first encounter with professional singing.
Mm-hmm.
Not really, but my first job, my first real gig as a professional singer.
Mm-hmm.
I had already, I had just graduated high school, and that was it. That was my first thing. So I learned some skills. They pretty much put me through what they called Disney University,
mm-hmm.
and they gave me the etiquette and the skills. When I left there, I went back to New York. And I continued with a manager that I had previously found, or she found me, and I started recording.
Mm-hmm.
The long story short, I got involved in dance music. At the time, it was a cross between disco and what we now consider to be house music.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my recording career more or less took off with the dance music. Okay. And I managed to get some pretty decent hits out at that time, songs that lasted 22 weeks on the charts or whatever, even went up to the top 5, top 10. And ended up coming back to Disney World. Where I opened up Pleasure Island. Wow. And I think that's when you met me during that time.
Okay.
That was my second gig.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that was just before my daughter was born.
Right.
And I opened up the jazz. I opened up with the Jazz Connection at the Empress Lily there.
I see.
And I stayed there until Brittany was born. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, it wasn't within the Disney style for me to be up there pregnant, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I left that job and eventually left Florida again and went back to New York
Mm-hmm.
and continued my dance music
I see.
career,
Okay.
and I've been recording or having a release pretty much every year
Mm-hmm.
since then. Towards the later years, if there wasn't one released in that year, there were several released in between, so that it averages out to up to today.
Mm-hmm.
I still can say that I've had a release out every year since 1986.
Oh wow.
You know?
Mm. So, because I was going to ask you, exactly how many records have you recorded?
Ah, I can't even keep up with the number,
Mm-hmm.
because if you have to take into consideration every song is mixed several times.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, then they're remixed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at Discogs, there's well over a couple of, 100 and some change, you know what I'm saying?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Uh, so there's quite a few. The one that I wrote that got the most action was Moving On.
Mm-hmm.
Moving On has been remixed, re-released, re-recorded, re-everything uh, since '86. Just that one alone.
Mm. Interesting.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and this dance music has an audience that's international. It's global. It's my most enthusiastic audience is not in the United States.
I see. I see. Okay.
We're talking
Okay.
Japan, Europe, different parts of Europe. Um,
I see.
they're more attuned to my repertoire than my own backyard.
I
You know,
see. Okay. Okay.
which is
eh,
wonderful for me.
okay.
hmm
Very good. Cool. Okay. So, what would you say? Was your signature song? I guess. Moving on.
I'd have to say moving on because, like I said, it's been revisited so many times. Not by design. I mean, it just kind of happened that way. People, I don't know how they know it, or like I said, the audience is a lot more enthusiastic outside of the states, and every single artist or producer or DJ uh, has been pretty much from out of the country
Mm-hmm.
that has put their hands on moving on. We have a few DJs that early in the early years that were from the states that did their remixes and whatnot and re-releases, but the majority
Mm-hmm.
definitely European or somewhere
I see.
somewhere else.
Okay. 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 Now, another
Mhm.
thing, I know that your mother was a big part of your life, in your career, and everything to you. Just talk a little bit about her. She's not here anymore. Talk a little bit about that part of your life, please.
Yeah, that was Grandma Bucci. Her nickname was Bucci growing up. She hated that name,
Mm-hmm.
but we got her to really embrace it through a radio show that we started years ago. I want to say around the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
I started, my brother and I started a radio show that gave her a voice. So now my audience knows Grandma Bucci. And it wasn't enough that she had traveled with me as much as possible
Mm-hmm.
uh, in throughout the United States. Now my international audience was aware of her. So when she accompanied me to the Miami Winter Music Conferences,
Mm-hmm.
they knew who Grandma Bucci was. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that thrilled her heart. Oh, that really gave her a thrill. She felt like she was some kind of celebrity.
Right.
As a matter of fact, she got so big headed, she was trying to push me away. You know what I'm saying? Like it was all about her.
Right. Oh.
I enjoyed that,
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't always have a great relationship. We had that mother daughter thing going on,
Mm-hmm.
but but she was my biggest fan,
Right.
and if it wasn't for her, I probably never would have got to singing in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
She was the master at the genie organ when we were growing up. I don't know if you're familiar with the genie organ. That might be before your time,
Yeah, a little
but
bit.
there used to be, yeah, yeah. There used to be guys that would walk door to door selling these little genie organs.
Mm-hmm.
And she bought that organ. That man brought that thing in her head, had the whole orchestra. She self taught herself to play that organ.
Wow.
And she would make me sing
Mm-hmm.
for her. I was her choir, her whole, she was my accompaniment. And she made me sing all her favorite songs.
Right. I see.
Destiny Me So, the way we were, stuff like that.
Right. Right.
And she had a love for music,
Mm-hmm.
and she literally learned it, and pushed it into me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so we had a connection that her frustration of never really being a professional performer was definitely poured into me to encourage me to be the performer she never got to be.
I see.
And I embraced it, because that was our only real connection.
I see.
You
Okay.
know what I'm saying? And
Okay.
it wasn't always easy. I took her on a tour with just me and her.
Mm-hmm.
We bus and trucked it, more or less minivanned it. Everybody else was flying from point to point. She didn't fly,
Right.
so I drove. I
Mm-hmm.
drove, and we went from New York to Miami and back. Hit several cities along the way with
Mm-hmm.
a show called. I was in a show called Sophisticated Ladies.
Mm-hmm.
It was a road show,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
like the Broadway, the off Broadway, way off Broadway version of it
Mm-hmm.
of Sophisticated Ladies, and that gave us an opportunity to give her the, the feeling of being on tour,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and
Mm-hmm.
that was incredible. I did not know at the time my mother was ill.
Mm-hmm.
She had a kidney disease that she didn't tell anybody about.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she made herself go on this tour with me, and I waited on her hand and foot, not knowing she was sick.
Right.
Just because she was mommy, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
That's right.
And she went through every emotional up and down. I thought, oh Lord, here we go. She's going to see now. I didn't
Right.
know what was happening.
Right.
I was calling back to my brother and sister, y'all. When I get back, watch mommy. She's
Mm-hmm.
going through something. I didn't know what it was,
Right.
but I'm so grateful to have had that time. Just the two of us driving down a lonely road, looking at the sky, looking at the formation of the clouds and the sun setting, and oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
just just witnessing nature and moments that being home in New York we would have never
Mm-hmm.
we've never encountered. You know,
Right.
we learned about each other,
Mm-hmm.
things that we never would have known.
Right.
So that was a true blessing.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Right.
And
Okay.
I got, yeah, I got to be with her when she took her last breath. It was just me and her.
Right. I see.
So
I
it
understand.
was amazing,
Right. I see.
amazing.
Okay. So you also went through a divorce from your ex-husband Mike. How did that experience affect you?
I gave that to God
Mm-hmm.
and forgave myself for that decision, for, for
Mm-hmm.
the for the decision to even come together. That wasn't evenly yoked at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I gave all that pain to God, and He got me through that
Mm-hmm.
easily.
Mm-hmm.
It was miraculous. The blessing out of that union was Brittany, my daughter, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And there we have it. There's nothing left to discuss.
I see. Are you all friends today at all?
Uh, no, he has estranged himself and
Mm-hmm.
gone on with his life. I have no concerns
I
with him
see.
whatsoever. He
So,
is not,
mm-hmm.
he doesn't make himself,
Mm-hmm.
uh, he has not created a relationship with Brittany or anything. So then it's them and us,
Mm-hmm.
they're doing whatever God has for them.
I see.
And that's that,
I see.
you know.
Okay. Okay. So now this new life
Mhm.
that you're building, you have more kids. What's different now trying to raise kids, than what it was when you were young, I guess.
No, I was blessed. I remarried. I had a son.
Mm-hmm.
That turned out to be something that shouldn't have happened either. But
Mm-hmm.
the blessing was my son. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I was on assignment to have these two kids, and that was it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But my son is in college now. He's going to be an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
We did very well.
Mm-hmm.
I raised two incredible young people into adulthood. I couldn't have asked for two better children.
Right.
I have two grandchildren from Brittany
Mm-hmm. Cool.
that
Wonderful.
I helped her with because
Mm-hmm.
she went off into the army
Mm-hmm.
for 12 years,
Mm-hmm. Wow.
and yeah, so 3 of those years I assisted her while she was deployed in Afghanistan,
Mm-hmm.
and now she's back. But
Mm-hmm.
I got a chance to. I took a pause on my own career to help with those two, and I had them here with me and my son in Florida, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and we just had a great time.
Mm-hmm.
I got to be the Boy Scout grandma, and we camped and we did everything. Oh, and my son was in basketball. We traveled the whole state
Mm-hmm.
going to basketball games. They loved it.
Cool.
We got involved in everything we possibly could,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
The only thing
So
is, you don't look like no grandma. That's the problem.
well, that's all right with me. That
Yeah.
is all
Okay.
right with
Cool.
me.
So what's
You
upcoming?
know.
What else? What else are you looking to do that you've yet to do? I guess.
Oh well, I went back to school.
Mm-hmm.
I during COVID, I went back and I'm working on my BFA, and that's Bachelor of Fine Arts. Because all these years from high school, I I knew I had some level of a talent to draw and paint and things like that from high school, but I never really had an opportunity to explore it because music has definitely taken over my life.
Mm-hmm.
But during COVID, I said, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna study art, and hopefully I'll be able to dedicate the later portion of my life, if I get to have one, to that. Not foregoing music. I mean, I will always record and release music. But the way the industry is right now, and with the advent of the internet and all of the self promoting and distribution that's able to happen, I can do both, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But but for me, I want to explore that to the fullest extent. Before I leave the earth, I'd rather deposit every ounce of whatever gifts been given
Mm-hmm.
to do whatever they're supposed to do.
I
You
see.
know.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I meant to ask you,
And
yeah, about the changes in how the industry works now compared to how it used to be. You got more. You have more control now, and you're in charge of everything pretty much yourself. Talk a little bit about that for me.
Yeah, well, that's a great advantage. However, the old way was better monetarily
Mm-hmm.
than it is now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I believe that the technology has moved faster than they could figure out how to monetize it
Mm-hmm.
to benefit the actual creators.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they figured out how to monetize it to benefit everybody else, but the
Mm-hmm.
actual creators, oh, we're back in the Stone Ages now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We're right. I mean, it's like the scale is so unbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
We have every bit of technology at our advantage,
Mm-hmm.
but the rate of compensation, the I mean, we've gone from literally dollars to fractions of a penny,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for the same work, for the same body of work.
Yeah.
Where moving on used to make thousands,
Mm-hmm.
it's not even generating a couple of hundred. It's
Mm-hmm.
not even generating 100. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I understand.
Really, it's for what do you get?
Mm-hmm.
$40 for 1,000 plays. Come on,
Right. I hear you. I got you.
uh,
Yeah. Mm.
it's
A
crazy.
different world with this, like you said, with the internet stuff.
It's very different.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I'll be still alive when the monetization evens out.
Mm-hmm.
Hope Hopefully my grandchildren will benefit from that. That's why even though it is so unbalanced,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that the catalog is more important at this moment in time than the money that it makes
Right. I
for
understand.
me. I'm not a superstar. I'm only a creator.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So the
Absolutely.
create the importance is in the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, uh,
Right.
so if I have a catalog that's you know uh, intense in number,
Mm-hmm.
eventually it will be worth what it's worth.
Right.
You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying?
Okay.
So and as far as that goes, with the internet, nothing ever really dies. And once it's out there for perpetuity. It's never
Mm-hmm.
gonna go away.
Right. Absolutely.
And as long as people are being born, there's gonna be new ears to hear the music. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll always be new to somebody.
Right.
It'll
That is
be
true.
introduced,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
perpetually introduced.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So, yeah, the goal is to just create as much as possible. So by the time I do leave, there's a bank of a body of work,
Mm-hmm.
and by then it'll be consisting of audio and visual.
Mm-hmm.
Visual intellectual property is literally more valuable right now than audio.
I hear you.
you
I
know,
got you. Mm-hmm.
so so I don't know how it'll even out at the end, but I'll leave enough in the vault for my kids and grandkids to play around with.
I see. I got
And
you. Okay. Does
that's
anybody show interest in music at all?
both my children are musically inclined.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Brittany plays piano and reads music,
Mm-hmm.
and she has recorded her own music
Cool.
and
Mm-hmm.
written her own music, and Jalen as well.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen has been a first chair trombonist since the sixth grade.
Oh, cool.
he
Great.
he played in high school, and he plays for his college,
Mm-hmm.
and
Wonderful.
he writes music as well.
Cool.
And,
Very good. Very
but
good.
and rather than do that as a primary like I did,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't think I had any choice. They have
Mm-hmm.
choices. They're well more educated than I was at their age.
That's right. You're right.
You
You're
know,
right.
I, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and so I I'm very proud of that.
I see.
But they, Brittany's got, she's got so much in her basket. It's incredible. She's. I keep telling myself, I don't know how it couldn't have been me. It has to be some divine thing, but she was born gifted to a degree I never witnessed, you know? And she's the type that it just comes. You know, there's other types that we have to really work for it, you know?
Right.
My son and I tell him, we have to make a physical effort, whereas Brittany, all she has to do is think it, wake up, and it's happening, you know? And so that's a difference. But talent-wise and gifts, they're both extremely gifted. Jalen, it's incredible. He when he was young, he had a photographic memory. You know, I don't know how that's working for him now, but I was baffled by him. You know, he was the kid that never broke a toy. You know, his room stayed neat. What kid has a neat room with no broken toy? The only time a toy got broke was when his cousins came by. You know, he was incredible. He figured out codes and cheat codes and all kind of stuff before he was 10.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, he was amazing. So, he was destined to be something in the engineering field, and he's got ideas and research on his mind that he wants to accomplish. But he's the one that he's going to physically make it happen. He's got to make that effort,
right?
And he see it, and he can physically go out there and do it.
Wonderful.
You know, he's incredible.
We really do appreciate our guests who participated in this episode, and we hope you learned something that will bless your day and your life. For all who are interested in learning more about the Gary Clement Radio Show podcast, please visit www.amazon.com and order my book, The Gary Clement Radio Show, When Strong Afro-American Men and Women Stand Up. It covers everything about us and features a variety of Afro-American personalities who speak out about the importance of education and literacy in the Black community. Well, we thank you for tuning into our podcast. Please send us your email address so we can contact you when we have new releases and new episodes and new projects as well. You can reach us at gccpresents@yahoo.com. And also, if you're interested in submitting any materials or want to get in touch with us, please do so by simply sending an email to gccpresents@yahoo.com. That's G as in Gary, C as in Charlie, C as in Charlie, presents@yahoo.com. So until next time, do take care. And this is a G2 Network Media production.